Greetings, fellow RimWorlders. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series playing RimWorld called Vault Builders. If you would like to skip the scenario overview, the backstory, and the setup, please use YouTube chapters, and that information can be found in the description of this video as well. Vault Builders is a story about three Forsyth siblings, Moxie, Sappho, and Crimson. They were forcibly conscripted into the Empire's army and shipped out from their homeworld to a backwater moon in the middle of nowhere. After spending a few years in the army quelling rebellions, Crimson was abducted by a fringe wing of the government to be experimented upon because her medical scans revealed she had latent powers. Moxie and Sappho scoured government records and rescued her from captivity while also absconding with sensitive data about a hidden faction of deserters and also of science labs where empowered individuals had been discovered. The goals of the series is to explore the ancient science labs and learn more about Crimson's powers, aid the deserters in their fight against the Empire, but stay off their radar, and build a secret bunker to collect technology and discoveries from falling into the hands of the Empire, and also, of course, to keep these siblings alive. And then details about the scenario and ideology are there as well. Right at the start here, let's do some introductions. So we have Moxie, the eldest of the siblings, Moxie Forsyth, bloodlust, steadfast and fast learner, and she is good at shooting and planting and taming animals and a little social. Then we have Sappho, who is a tough brawler undergrounder. He does not want to be outside. He wants to be digging his little hole, like a dwarf. And he is good at melee construction, crafting, and mining. And then Crimson. Jogger, sanguine, industrious. She is a bit of a medical scientist herself and is good at shooting and art and has latent powers. So her latent powers is why it flew under the radar. She's a promising candidate. So she doesn't actually have any active powers, but she is a perfect test subject, which is why she was abducted by the Empire. And her current weakness is paranoia. She wants to be home. This is our map tile, which is a lone mountain. And this is the world. The backwater moon in the middle of nowhere. As far as the factions go, we have Gentle Tribe, Fierce Tribe, Savage Tribe, Pirate Gang, the Shattered Empire, which super hates us, and then as well as both the Insect Gene Line and the Mech Hive. Alright, at the very start, let's get some things sorted. Work orders, of course, firefight, basic, and then any passion skills becomes a 2. I'm going to tend to people with industrial drugs and have everyone carry 3 industrial drugs with them. For now, I'm going to say the current drug policy is no drugs. So I'm going to delete the other policies. There, I'm going to default them to the scheduled drugs, which will become the new no drugs. And we can reassess this policy when we have a supply. The food policy right now is going to be something called travel, and travel is going to be packaged survival meals. All the other food policies I'm going to delete for simplicity's sake, except for paste. So one thing about our 3 starting colonists is none of them can cook, but because we are partially transhumanist, we don't mind paste meals. So nutrient paste is going to be a policy that we're going to do. As far as clothing goes, I'm going to have everyone on an anything policy, but I'm going to change the anything policy to not include tainted or tattered. With that said, of course, Moxie doesn't care about tainted, but even then, she's going to avoid it. So those are the basic policies. And I am going to set up a stockpile zone here. Very simple one. Order all of the everything scattered around to be collected. And let's start growing right off the bat. lay out a little rice paddy, if you will. Call that rice. All right. Moxie, would you be so kind as to collect the medicine? Sapo, I'm going to have you collect the intel, and Crimson collect the critical intel. So we're going to be creating a temporary base here. I don't know how actually temporary it will be, but a little base there. And in order to do that, we're going to need a lot of wood. Cutting a lot of trees down. So, Moxie, once you're done hauling that, start cutting the trees. And then Sapo, you are going to go for steel. And Crimson, you are going to go for components and advanced components. Trying to collect what we need to be able to start building. Is that marathon timer not moving? Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. But, I guess we have to ignore it. But catching up with all of you guys. Thank you for the, all the gifted subs and the cheers. Holy moly. Trying to do the introduction, I missed a lot of it. So, Holodeck, Magic, Grey Hermit, Brizet, Bradlocker, Bloody Death, Scorpio, Sven. I'm just going to keep calling you Sven forever. Winnie's an ice pick. Thank you, thank you. And cheers to you all. So we started off with stealing some sensitive information. So we have data about a sealed vault and a looted vault. And they are going to be sticking around for a few weeks. But we should act on them sooner than later, because the longer we wait, the less likely we are to benefit from its loot. So, to lay out a starting area, let's go ahead and get our beds going. So bed 1, bed 2, bed 3, and then some simple furniture. Some recreation. That'll be a good start. And then we're going to want to get running power going. We do start off with microelectronics research as a little bit of a jump start, which is going to be really handy. And Joker and Quantum, thank you for even more gifted subs. Cheers. And I've decided to build with steel, at least for the initial start bunker. Not exactly like the world's best material, but it'll have to do for now. All right. All the while, Crimson is collecting the packet survival meals so that we have a source of food. And we'll aim to try to get the beds built before nightfall so that people can sleep indoors and on a bed, which will keep them significantly more happy than roughing it. All right, let's go ahead and set up this rice paddy to be using basically the whole area. Dopey Sabs, thank you for the gifted subs as well. I'm going to leave out that spot, as it's going to be harder to wall that up in the future. So Sappy's construction steel is 9. I'm hoping the beds are at least normal quality. Good would be fantastic, but oh yeah, we got some good ones. Great. And we're just trying to get all the walls up above us, and beds, recreation. You know, the simple things needed to not hate life on the Rim. So Crimson's continually collecting, and I think it's going to be important for us to collect the packaged survival meals. Packaged survival meals do not decay quickly outdoors, but, like, leaving them out there means that they're going to be eaten by wildlife. Alright, as far as the source of power goes, we are in temperate forest. So, using, like, a wood fire generator is probably fine. So we'll get that going, and I'm going to set up a standing lamp kind of in the middle of this initial structure in order to keep it all illuminated. But it does mean that we're going to need more steel for that project. So, Crimson, you come haul steel as well. You love to sleep next to the exhaust of a generator? Mm-hmm. Gotta love that carbon monoxide poisoning. Fall asleep, never wake up. Exactly. I'm glad you guys are on board with my ideas. There we go. At least we have lights over our heads. And now I'm just trying to get the last bed built before they go to sleep. It's an excellent bed. We'll give that one to Crimson. She's had it kind of rough with, you know, being abducted and all. So, give her the nice one. It's very rough. It has partial flooring. It has a bunch of ruins in it. So this starter base is definitely going to need some TLC. But at the very least, we have a roof over our heads. And it is technically a decent barracks, so it'll do. In order to keep it from tanking its quality, I'll lay out some shelves, some wooden shelves, to try to keep the ugly steel and random detritus from detracting its qualities. I think I'm just going to go ahead and hide the, like, time left, as it doesn't seem to be updating or accurate. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's one of those things that's hard to test before a marathon, and clearly it is not working. Alright, on here, let's have this as priority low. And then we'll start prioritizing shelving up the things, which should raise the barracks quality from mediocre to decent, which should help with morale. Perfect. So the immediate plan is to, and I'll update the priority, tame some horses and build a research station. So the purpose of taming horses is any loot that we find in a vault will have to be carried out of the vault. And the carry weight of a person is 35 kilograms minus what they're currently wearing, so it's functionally more like 20 or something. Whereas each horse can carry roughly 4.5 or 4.25 times more than that. So getting a whole bunch of horses to be able to do our grunt labor is going to be ideal. The wildlife on this map tile are horses, boomalopes, alpaca. So alpaca carry 35, horses carry 84. And those are the only animals available. It is a temperate forest, so there might be an opportunity in the future to get something maybe like bison or whatever. But one of the other advantages of horses is your caravan speed is a lot faster on a horse, as horses increase your caravan speed by 60%, whereas the other rideable creatures are usually 35. So horses, dromedaries, thrumbo have like a uniquely quick caravan bonus. And if we're going to be moving around trying to invade these sealed vaults before the Empire gets to them, movement speed is going to be paramount, I think. So where is some other steel? We have compacted steel and a lot of steel ruins. So there's a little bit of steel in the south and southeast, but there's not a lot of free-floating steel left. Got it. Another thing that we're going to want to do is transition away from eating the packaged meals, because the packaged meals are going to be ideal for travel. So probably while we try to tame horses and build a research bench, maybe even before the research bench, I would like to get a nutrient paste dispenser up so that we can not have to cook so much food. So let's see, maybe in, I'm gonna move Crimson's bed, and in this spot I'll put the door. And that way we'll be able to feed ourselves without the risk of food poisoning, because of course nutrient-based meals don't have food poisoning risk, which is a huge reason to use them early on, because getting food poisoning can be really dangerous. Alright, looks good. So we're going to stick the nutrient paste dispenser like that. And then some hoppers. The other thing I did not incorporate into this design, and I really ought to have, is a cooler. Because, you know, having a nutrient paste dispenser that has food that rots is kind of pointless. So let's get that hooked up as well. Crimson. You are... okay. Let's haul the steel. But I don't know if I'm going to have enough materials in order to get this all built, so we might have to mine up some materials as a result, which is fine. And so far, none of this area is overhead mountain, so we don't really need to worry about insect bugs or whatever in this spot. Alright, I think there's only 5 steel left out in the world yet to be used by me. That should be enough steel for maybe a nutrient paste dispenser, but probably not the air conditioner. So we're going to need to mine some up. Yeah, alright, Sapo. Let's go ahead and have you mine this vein of steel. There's a little bit of steel here. There's really not a lot of steel on this map tile, but I'm hoping that there's some steel in the mountain, as that will be a bit of a game changer. So, for now, deprioritize... oh, let's not mine that. Deprioritize construction and go to mining. Because we have 5 steel, and I think that's all the steel that it exists on this tile. Alright, it also looks to me like Crimson needs a job. Because at the moment she's just hauling. So I'm going to get a stonecutter bench so that she can make use of her time. Which of course costs even more steel, but that's fine. Scandia, thank you for the resub. And Sphinx too. And Turrodinus. Cheers. Oh, and Shield. Pleasure to have you all here. Welcome, crew. Looking at this dead alpaca that got killed by, what was it, a warg? Okay, I do need to worry about the warg, but one of the things I was going to do is also get a butcher table. We could put the butcher table in here, and then put a stockpile for dead animals here. So, fresh animal corpses that are maybe not insects. And it doesn't really matter that we have a butcher table in our kitchen, because our kitchen is Normally, butcher tables make kitchens less clean, but because we're using nutrient paste, that's moot. Alright, looks like Moxie is pretty close to, so 298 size, and we're done with 169. So getting kind of close to the threshold of farming it all. And we've got our paste dispenser. So once we have the paste dispenser powered up, we'll be able to transition away from eating the wrong meals. But we will need another hopper. You like the smirky face? And Crimson. Maybe I'll change your face. Natural mood. You did get rescued. And then, of course, tough guy Sapo always has that face. You can't help it. That's just how he looks. Okay, we got the butcher table up. Fantastic. So we will be able to eat our hunted kills without food poisoning risk, and it's already, as you can see, frozen in here. It's a little cold in our regular bedroom, but the wood-fired generator should heat it up a little bit. But we'll keep an eye on the temperature in here to try to reduce the, like, slept in the cold. Alright, back to our goals. So we want a research table, and I was thinking of nesting the research bench in here, but before we get the research table, the high-tech research bench, we're going to need 250 steel, at the very least, so we're going to need to do some more steel mining for that. And then once Moxie finishes with the rice sowing, I'm going to have her attempt to tame some horses. A little worried about the horses being on the edge of the map tile, because I don't want them to zone out. That would be pretty tragic, but we'll keep an eye on that. Alright, now that we have a nutrient paste dispenser with food, I'm going to take everybody off of the travel meals so that Crimson, because Crimson is the one that can hack into the facilities, so that Crimson can get her way there with a source of food. Also, it would be good to hunt a few more critters, so let's hunt the other alpaca, so that we have some hides to be able to make a travel bed. Sapo, it's time to get to work, friend. And I think even before I make the research bench, it would be really good to get a stone cutter table so that anyone that is idle can cut stone, because I'm sure I'm going to want a lot of stone. Oh god, you're going to shoot your brother. This ain't a story about Cain and Abel. There we go. One of those, trust your hunters, but verify that they're not gonna fratricide, you know? That would put a bit of a damper on this run. Alright, just to make things a little bit easier, I'm gonna hook up a light in that room. Sapo, you've been slept in the cold, outdoors, and underground or outdoors. You are, like, not super happy right now, so I'm gonna see about cheering you up. Let's change his construction priority a bit higher. And here is the stone cutter table, which we can use to tile up the inside of this base. So let's go ahead and make any stone block. I'm going to reduce the radius to like 18. And then I'm also going to put a spot here so that I can haul one chunk to this spot. So stone chunk for cutting. And this, let's collapse these, will be any stone chunk that was tagged for hauling. This is going to be butchery. Butchery corpses, and this is just overflow stockpile. Alright, if Sapo is repairing the Grand Stele, let's go ahead and put him back on mining. Moxie looks just about done with rice sowing. Done. So now I'm going to pick some berries so that I can use the berries to tame horses. What I would like to do is build a horse paddock that is not flammable, maybe even walled in. So this is clearly an ancient danger. I don't want to share a wall with the ancient danger. So let's create a plan for a very large horse paddy. I think I would like to include, for the wall for the horse paddy, have it shared wall with our barracks so that it's easier to tend the horses if there's like manhunter packs or something like that. So some sort of walled in horse paddy in this area with like a door here, I think is ideal. And then this wall can also be used to enclose the rice farm in the future, so it will serve a dual purpose. In that case, expanding the home area and then turning off auto home. Visitors from the Pyeth Path are leaving. So this is what they believe in. They're proselytizing collectivists that don't believe in drugs. Ha! Dare officer. Interesting. They worship a minigun, and they like visage masks. The other ideologies around, we have Neobust, who believe in Neobustism, tree connecting nature primacy with the disapproving of mining and killing animals. Yeah, they're not going to like us. We cut down trees and we do a lot of mining, so yeah, they're going to hate us for sure. We've got the Dark Creed, darkness supremacists. We've got the Outlaw Doctrine, Raider supremacists, and then the Harmony Collective, loyalist collectivists, human primacy, who loves slaves and hates drugs, and that's who abducted Crimson. So we're not exactly friends with them, as one might imagine. We've got 540 watts to play with out of this wood fire generator, so let's try to make the most out of it. Hooking up the research bench. And then I'm going to change the craft. Now that Moxie, rather, is done with the harvesting of the berries, let's have her start taming the horses. So I have, because I don't have a pen yet, I am having a hitching spot, which we can hitch the horses to. And then around this hitching spot, I'll put... Wow, I can't click today. I'll put horse beds so that they can, like, rest around here. I'm trying to get us some horses so that we can, you know, get moving. So we're looking to get 250 steel so that we can build a high-tech research bench for Crimson to start research. And the first research we're going to queue up is smithing. Without smithing and machining, we can't get things like multi-analyzer. So smithing is like a no-brainer. Cheers. And she is already cutting stone. And we got a mare. Nice. Alright, let's get a giveaway timer for these horses. We're gonna name them. First raffle's up. Now that we're starting to make sandstone. Okay, that's going to be an issue. There is a warg right next to our tethered horse. Moxie, come over here. Crimson, you too. We don't want to tame horses and then have them immediately perish to warg. Alright, one gunshot. If I can do this without actually aggroing it, that's fine. I don't care if it bleeds out. That's pretty good. Volley, yeah, it's gonna die. Down it goes. Perfect. I don't really need to worry about that. Alright, back to what I was originally doing. Setting up the horse patty. So, I like wooden doors so that we can go in and out quickly, but then I'm going to build a roof around the wooden doors so that fires can't spread to the wooden doors as easily. And the walls are going to be sandstone. And then we'll eventually also put a door here as well. And that was indeed an ancient danger. No surprise there at all. Alright, let's also get a chest table. We're eventually going to get bored of throwing things at a horseshoe pin, so... The other thing is, we'll need more storage in here for the meat. For now, I'm just going to do, like, cheap, wooden storage. So raw food goes in there. Raw food that is not insect jelly or fertilized eggs. Human meat or insect meat. Yeah, the walls were a dead giveaway. Walls like these that have damage, visible damage, means they were not ancient dangers, because ancient dangers generate as pristine, undamaged walls. But these pristine walls were like, yep, ancient danger for sure. Okay, then we dealt with yet another mad animal. Alright, the other thing is the intel. So if you're wondering what intel is, this intel is something important to the deserter faction. And it's going to provide information about the, you know, where the Imperial or the Empire is and what they're up to. And intel will expire. It decays over time. Intel goes out of date. So we ought to also use the intel before it goes out of date. I want to get the research bench up first, but then I'll go and make sure that we consume that intel. Because it'd be a big waste if it wasn't used. Yeah, critical intel goes out of date in like a week. And I have, I think, 6 days left on this intel. Yep, 6 days, 9 hours left on this intel. So we'll make sure to use it before we lose it. Alright, I believe I now have enough steel for at least the research bench. Yes. So the next thing I want to do is to chip away at the inside of our little mountain hovel in order to get a little bit more room in here for stuff. Cheers. And the first horse is going to be named Enthak. Okay, we have Overhead Mountain. I don't want to go into the Overhead Mountain because, you know, that's a buggy problem. So let's chip it away like this. Meaning that our high-tech research bench can go here. Which works out pretty well, because what I could do is I can enclose it to allow it to get sterile for its research speed bonuses. Yeah, there is a hole in the roof. I'll be mending it. It's no problem. Alright, that looks about right. And then let's also put a dining chair there. Now that we're not so rushed for eating without a table, we can have nicer seating. The other thing is there is not going to be power available to it. So we'll run a hidden cable up the spine of our base. All right, some of this meat needs to move. So raw food that is not insect jelly or eggs ought to be kept in the kitchen. Meaning we'll change these shelves to preferred, or important, and these shelves on preferred. That way we'll actually move the meat where it needs to be. And Moxie, I'm going to have you haul that, because it would be a real shame to have this spoil. I don't really want to waste a lot of time hunting, so making sure we don't have spoiled food is important. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld Vault Builders, which originally streamed live on Twitch as a marathon. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel. Amid all the other credits, thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow vault builders.